Cool. Take it away,
You
bro.
want me to get it, Sam?
Yeah.
All right. Elevation Nation, we have a guest who is coming from Austin, Texas today, but she is based in Los Angeles, California. She is the CEO of GeoJam, Sarah Figueroa. Did I get it right? Figueroa?
Yes, perfect.
Joins the podcast. We're going to be talking about creator economy. I know Sam knows nothing about that, maybe a little bit about cryptocurrency, but more so about Sarah's journey as a 27-year-old founder, pretty much navigating the real world every day. And I'm sure there's plenty of problems, things, challenges that come up every single day. So we're going to just walk through a bunch of different things. So Sarah, welcome. We are pumped to have you on the podcast.
So happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Parker and Sam. This is going to be so much fun.
Sarah, I think it was a little bit of fate that we got connected with you because we have multiple connections. Our paths crossed at different times in different places. So it's about damn time we had you on the podcast so you could share your story and inspire Elevation Nation. But before we get into everything, this is Elevation Nation. We want to hear from you. Could you give us a little elevator pitch about who you and GeoJam are?
Yeah, of course. So I'm a 4-time entrepreneur. I exited my first company when I was 20. I've had some successes, some fails, and I just think you have to never give up and just keep going because everybody told me to quit GeoJam like maybe 50 times. I heard it every day. And I just never quit and never gave up, and we just kept raising, kept building, and even though everyone thought we were crazy, and I feel like right now we just got to this point where the team has 13 full-time employees. We have we can build. We have the resources to build, the users. We have all these different things that I never thought we would be able to get to, but we just kept going no matter what because we thought the world needed GeoJam, which is a social engagement platform that helps creators and fans get closer together in all new ways. So we do these incredible once-in-a-lifetime experiences that fans can redeem for cryptocurrency, jam tokens such as FaceTimes with Mariah Carey or fly on a private jet with 24K Golden or be on a billboard with Machine Gun Kelly. So those experiences are like our mission at GeoJam is to help the world experience moments together. And as long as you stay true to your mission, I think as an entrepreneur, it just helps you get closer and closer to the goals.
I just want to say, Elevation Nation, Sarah told me last week that GeoJam was named by Fast Company as, was it 2022 most innovative company or in a list of most innovative companies, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was really exciting. We were top 10 music companies named by Fast Company as world's most innovative companies.
Which I have to say is extra cool for me because growing up, my dad's in business, and the one main magazine that he subscribed to growing up was Fast Company. And so I remember being about 10 years old, and they have incredible graphics. I know everyone's like online now and doesn't actually get magazines anymore, I guess. But growing up, I used to sit and sneak into my dad's office and flip through his Fast Companies and read all the insane articles that they had about some really inspiring entrepreneurs. So Sarah, kudos to you and the team for getting on Fast Company. I mean, it is no small feat. So congratulations. That's a huge deal. And I know this is just the start of some amazing, incredible things that you're going to be doing throughout your career and at GeoJam. But this didn't just happen by a plan, right? You didn't have this set in stone. I know that the pandemic kind of influenced the direction that you were taking GeoJam, which sounds very similar to how Parker and I had to pivot and adjust throughout the pandemic, just like every business owner out there. Could you tell us a little bit about that adversity you faced within the pandemic and having to try to think you had a business in your mind, right? And then all of a sudden the pandemic hit and you were like, I don't want to drop this business. I got to figure out a new way, a new opportunity here.
Of course. I think right when the pandemic hit, we had finally gotten to a point where we were ready to launch. Everything was ready to go. We started as a social media for music platform that rewarded fans with really cool things like backstage passes and concert tickets and all these unique things that they can do in person. And we also had this college tour plan, 50 universities. That was the go-to-market strategy. We were like ready for it. We were so excited, and we had kept delaying because with development, like things always get delayed. you're always like, deadlines are so tight, but we were finally ready, and the pandemic hit, and we were like, oh my gosh, like we had already put in all of our resources into this go-to-market strategy. And like the big part of it was getting these really incredible in-person experiences, and our go-to-market strategy was fully in person. So we had to take a super hard look at our business, and obviously investors at that time were like, we're not funding anything, like what's going on? And it was just a really scary time for our investors, for people in the company, and we had to lay people off. It's just everything bad that could have happened. And we just had to take a really hard look at our company and realize, like, first of all, these in-person events are amazing, but can they really scale? And can you like target people all around the world if you have all these in-person things? Probably not. And so what we did is we built these really amazing digital experiences, but not just like FaceTimes or playing video games or cooking. We did all of that, but we also got super creative and like put fans on the billboard of Machine Gun Kelly. And that was huge experience.
Gosh. Yeah.
And we realized that we had this like whole other tool that we never thought we had in the GeoJam kit essentially on the platform. And we just ran forward with these like fan competitions because fans and artists at the time were craving these sorts of connections because they couldn't go anywhere. And so it was a really quick and fast pivot. And if it wouldn't have happened, I don't think we'd be where we are today at all. And I think that was probably like the best part of our story, is how quick and fast we were able to pivot, just completely scrap everything that we had done, and rethink everything, and just getting your team aligned when times are so scary. I think it was definitely, I could not have done it without my team and my co-founders, because it was just really crazy, but we did it, and the artists got behind us, and it ended up working out in our favor.
I can't imagine what, you're watching on TV and the president and all these people are saying the world's about to shut down. Obviously everyone was freaking out, but from your perspective, you were ready to go. You were ready to launch this thing, make your mark on the world with GeoJam. And then all of a sudden, life settled in. I can't imagine. And then those next few months, you probably had to re-strategize, right? Like you just talked about. Walk us through like one of those days. Like, what was that like for you? You waking up and you're just trying to put out a fire all day? Or did you guys almost have like a reigniting of like creativity when tackling, these problems?
I think for like at first, when we weren't really sure what was happening, I was like pitching all these crazy ideas to my investors and my board, and they were like, you're crazy. Like, what are you doing? And so I got like kind of really excited about it.
What were some of them? What were some of those ideas?
With live streaming, like that's the direction I was thinking. But then like everyone started doing live streaming. And I was like, okay, there's no way, like we don't have the resources to go build the next Twitch. That's just not going to happen right now. So we had to get, what can we provide? Like, what tech do we have that we don't have to recreate? Which this whole tech system was based on being out of your house and experiencing moments together in real life. So we like just started, we got really scrappy. Like half of the things we were doing, I was uploading JPEGs to the app because like we didn't have the resources to like actually build in the development. So, every day was just kind of, there were some days where I couldn't do it. I was like, what are we going to do? We're having budget cut meetings and it's just really intense, but you're in this like really creative mindset because now artists are all at home. They used to be touring and now you can get a hold of them, which is what we learned like instantaneously is like, okay, wait, we can just like call Machine Gun Kelly's manager. He's not on tour every single day. Let's just call him and they would answer. So we just really took advantage of that time. And I know like all these live streaming companies did too. And so we positioned ourselves differently than what everyone else was doing. And that's kind of where we were able to like sit apart. But we used that time as just like actually like building relationships. And a lot of investors were also at home. And it was just really different because nobody had anything to do but work. And so it was like, we just took advantage of wherever we can insert ourselves, we will do, and then just finding that unique value proposition that no one else had.
It's a really hard time, I think, for obviously a society going through a pandemic. It's crazy to think it's been, 2.5 years since we first heard news that we were going to be stuck in our homes for freaking ever. But I'm just putting myself in that mindset, right? Flashing back to those 2.5 years. I had a full-time job at a big four company that felt as safe and as cushy as it can get. And even myself, I remember thinking, oh my God, am I going to lose my first job, my only job? How am I going to get a new job? Am I going to have to move at home and live with my parents? All those, scary things come to your mind, besides the fact that I don't want to get sick. I don't want to die. I want to keep my grandparents safe, right? So you have all these doom mentality concepts in your mind, and I could barely handle it for one individual, let alone the pressure of a company and people who relied on me for income, inspiration, and direction and motivation. Just like taking a step back and being real for a second, I'm asking as like a fellow entrepreneur, how the hell did you do that? Like, that is incredible. How were you able to manage it? Did you fake it? Like, was it all like a fake smile? Like, that's what I do. I just will put on a fake smile. I don't know how to like.
Yeah, but I can call your bullshit out. When
I know it doesn't work on you anymore.
Yeah.
It's great. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think it was really cool. So for me in particularly, and my co-founder Sam and Nir, we had moved the company from New York to LA, which was already like, I had lived in New York for like almost 10 years, and we had moved the company to LA. We moved into our place the day lockdown started. So it wasn't like, oh, we moved from New York to LA, because we were actually like moving to LA because we kept seeing that there was like these opportunities in entertainment, and like, we're going to go raise our next round and we're going to get more artists on the platform. We're going to network. It has something that New York doesn't have in the entertainment industry. Then we get here and we're so pumped up, and then it's like lockdown, and we're like, okay, we don't know anyone. We just moved. Our investors in New York are like, why did you leave New York? And now it's lockdown. So it was just
You didn't even have time to load up on toilet paper with everybody else. You didn't even have time to stock up.
No, our stuff was still in New York. Like, we're like, oh, we'll be back in New York. We're like trying to load up the apartment. I mean, it was a very strange time. And we just had to, like, I think for me, I just had to be really, really strong and say, okay, it's going to be okay. This is like an opportunity. And I think when you have a really good team, it's one man is always kind of down during that time. It'll be like one man down. Okay, the other ones have to pick up the slack and like motivate us and inspire us, because I couldn't do it on my own. So I think having that really great team around you is so critical, and somebody who, they might have a bad day, you might have a bad day, but if you could just like, one of you is okay, then you can keep trucking along. Because I know I had my days where I was like, how are we going to get past this? But I think also getting like those no's a lot really helped me realize that like, there's no way this is not going to happen. This is not what's going to stop it right now.
So you always had the idea that it was going to work out. And I feel like, Sam and I talk, this is the 140th episode we've had this podcast. We talk about mindset all the time. You can either go one way or the other. And a lot of people in your situation probably would have went the other way. Hey, this is not going to work. Damn, I'm in LA now. Well, maybe I should move back to New York. But then also trek along and continue to pivot and put in, the effort to get this company afloat and get going. So months later, years, let's say a year later now, GeoJam is rocking. You guys are pushing along. You're starting to create experiences for your customers, your users on the platform. Walk through like a story of like maybe one user's experience with the app and how that maybe brought like this newfound love for life that they were missing because of the pandemic.
Yeah, of course. I actually have a really cool one. So we launched with this Machine Gun Kelly billboard experience. We had no idea what we were doing. We never had done a competition on the app. We were like, we got the app like perfectly working like a week before. We were on the deadline, but the album was coming out.
That's plenty of time in the startup world, Sarah. A week is a huge cushion. That's impressive.
No, it was like, we had our issues. It was really stressful. I remember just being so stir crazy because we were just in this little place and I was just trying to like get out of there, and everything just kept getting messed up. But we kept pushing along, and it was the first time that I had really seen people on the GeoJam app, because before that it was like me and my friends or family or my team. And so then people were starting to share music with me. And this one kid, his name was Gavin, he started sharing music with me on, like, it's kind of like a direct message, but you share songs. And we start talking on this one song, but the app at the time was so janky. Like, you would have to keep listening to that one song over and over again to keep chatting. And so I just remember I kept listening to that song, and we're chatting, and it was just a random person that I met on the app. He happened to be a musician, and he was like, I'm obsessed with, I was like, let's jump on a call. And he was like, I love what you guys are doing. Tell me more. I'm a huge Machine Gun Kelly fan. And he just started like rallying all the super fans on the app. And actually this year he started working at GeoJam, and we met on the GeoJam app, but I hired him this year. And he was like working at a movie theater before, came on, like, and he just like taught me everything about, he's our community manager now, but he taught me like the power of GeoJam and getting that instant moment where you just like meet somebody that you never thought you would. And it's so cool when it happens through your platform. You're like, okay, this is why people would use this.
That's sick. Snaps to Gavin for creating a path and career for himself. Hell yeah.
That's awesome.
He's the best. We love him.
So cool.
I have a question for you guys. This is a little more casual question. Have you started watching the Kanye doc on Netflix yet at all? I know, Sarah, you probably have not had the time. You've been busy at South by.
I've been busy. I know Sam, my co-founder, has been watching, and okay, you have to watch.
Yes,
I watched it.
I'm glad Sam was watching it.
It
is. So we haven't brought this up on the podcast yet because I've been waiting for the right person to bring it up with. But you being in the music industry, Sarah, I think it's perfect. It's almost like a little bit scary how cocky but right Kanye was when he was like 15. He's like, and so they have this guy, Cootie, who's been his, like, he decided he was going to make a documentary on Kanye when he was young. So he's filming him in these like intimate moments from like 16 up until now. And when he was younger, the conviction in his voice, and it reminds me of what you said, Sarah, of like, yeah, I knew this was going to make it. Like, people were telling me no, but I like knew I'm going to make it. Kanye's like, I'm going to be the best rapper of all time. I'm going to be the best dressed rapper of all time. I'm going to help the fashion, like crazy things that at the time, like fashion and rap did not go together, and hip hop was like not a thing. And he was like, I'm going to do that. I'm also going to make the best albums. I'm going to link to old music and bring in samples. And he was like, and when I get wealthy enough, I'm going to pay for people to sing those samples so I can do whatever I want with them, which he ends up doing in lots of his music. And so I'm tying this back to mindset because I think it's fascinating of this. We've read a lot of books like The Secret, right? And the law of attraction. And if you put it out into the world, it'll come back to you. All the people that don't necessarily believe in that, I'm like, watch the Kanye documentary. Like, he literally willed it
because
into existence.
Those are the same people, you know.
Yeah, no, it's a little different.
The Secret and the Kanye documentary.
Very different vibes. I'm just saying, like, if you believe it, like, why would it not happen? If you believe it in your heart, you're going to figure out a way to make it happen because you think it's true already.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get your thoughts.
Manifestation is like, I think I've relied on it. I think it's just like, when I was a little girl, like, my dad showed me The Secret because I wanted to be an entrepreneur my entire life. And I remember watching that like super little, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I would make the business plans in like 4th grade and have like the collages and everything. And I do the same sort of things now. It's just like thinking through what I want, how I want it to be. And I think now it's a different point in my career where I'm actually starting to see some of those things happen. And that's where now I'm on this like different path. And I tell Sam, my co-founder, this all the time. I'm like, it's almost a scary feeling because it's starting to happen. And I have to maintain it now. I have to make sure we can keep doing it because that's a whole different feeling that I haven't felt yet. And it's kind of like PTSD from the scary days where you're like, you know, everyone's telling you no. And then now you're like, okay, I was right and we're doing it, but how do we maintain this? How do we keep getting better and better? And now what's the next step? You get so fixated on the next goal and the next goal. And I think that's how you do accomplish that goal, even if they're micro, is like, we have to hit this. And then you hit it. But then there's like the bigger one and the bigger one. It's just like climbing up these stairs. And then when you get a little bit higher to like where you really thought you'd be, which is kind of like where I am right now, it's scary because you have to think, okay, I cannot go 10 flights down.
Is it also scary, Sarah? Parker and I have talked about this a little bit before. Like, I've made it and it's not as sweet as I thought it would be.
Oh, it's sweet.
It is? Okay, that makes me feel better. All right, good.
I think it's sweet. I mean, okay, all right, I really do think with more success comes more responsibility, which it's like people say like more money, more problems. That is 100% true. I think that I never thought the things I'd have to make decisions on would be happening, especially working in cryptocurrency now. It's like there's so many things you have to think about that I never thought I would have to think about. But I think if you really want it, you can make it's kind of like you're manifesting how you want it to feel. What do you want this feeling to be like? And how do you want to grow from there? I think the journey though is definitely, I kept telling my co-founders, we were like packing jam shot boxes we were living in this little apartment not so long ago during the pandemic. And we had so many orders for the jam shop, like merchandise, speakers, what you name it. And we'd set some time apart to package all the boxes ourselves, weigh them, send them out, and we'd have like 400 orders a month, but we'd have to make the time. And I told them, we are going to miss this so much. I promise you, we are going to miss this. And now I actually do miss it. I'm like, oh, I miss we were driving this like really crappy, my old 16-year-old car. Like when I was 16, I got it and I came back to LA and my dad's like, oh, you could just use this because you're an entrepreneur and you need to save money. So we're like, all three of us are like driving this car around. It's like, I remember we pulled up to the New York Times photo shoot. The car's like falling, like the duct tape's falling off of the car. It's bad. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I told my co-founders, I was like, we are going to miss this so bad. I'm like, I miss the EOS days because that's the car. Because we would just roll up our sleeves. And I think as long as you don't lose that mentality that sometimes you're the janitor, sometimes you're the CEO, sometimes you're the spokesperson for the brand, but like you are always willing to roll up your sleeves, that's when you see the most success. If you forget like where you came from and that mentality of I'm going to do whatever it takes, I think that's where it might not be as sweet.
With success, there's just so much, the feeling of, wow, I've made it, or I've gotten to a point where I never thought I was going to get. But having that self-awareness to take a step back, oh yeah, this is where I came from. This is still who I am. Maybe I have a little bit more success than I did 6 months ago, a year ago, 10 years ago. Taking a step back and realizing that is what it's all about, right? And letting that drive your commitment to what you're doing in the future is, okay, we've reached this goal, but this goal and this feeling I'm having is temporary. It's going to go away eventually. But exactly. Why not just roll up my sleeves and go to the next thing and then the next thing and bring everyone else with you on your team? It's amazing. And that's why entrepreneurship is so cool and so awesome to talk about and do.
Yeah, exactly. I think just remembering as an entrepreneur that either the good, the success, or the failure, no matter what, neither of them are permanent. And so you can fall or rise at any point. And so if you forget that mentality to just roll up your sleeves, keep working, and realize that if you win, I always say, like, when it rains, it falls. I mean, when it rains, it pours. It's usually like when it's raining and things suck, I feel like everything goes wrong. Like it's like everything kind of happens at once and you're just like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm going to deal with all of this. But then like you'll have these highs and everything is going amazing. I feel like it kind of comes in waves almost. And you just have to be prepared for those things and just keep realizing that like nothing is permanent. And any phase of life or season that you might be having, it's not permanent and you can change that. And so if you just remember that, and that way, if you do get to a certain point, I think you just remember, okay, this is not permanent. I can still go back to, packaging the jam shot boxes myself if we don't keep hustling.
I mean, the thing about rain is that it always stops eventually, unless you live in like England. I feel like it's always raining there. But the sun will come out at some point. Whether
Yes.
it's how many days later, it'll come out. Sarah, you mentioned cryptocurrency. Let's talk about cryptocurrency. I know this is a little bit newer for GeoJam, right? This is something that you guys have been rolling out more recently. So how does cryptocurrency and I guess Web3 tie into GeoJam's mission?
Yeah, so I am obsessed with cryptocurrency. I first got introduced to it in 2012, and then I started mining Ethereum in 2017. So I always loved it, and I wanted to build GeoJam on the blockchain in 2017, but it was kind of a weird time. Like people had just like all those ICOs happened, and it's just kind of an unstable market, and it was kind of frowned upon. And so Sam, my co-founder at the time, was like, we're not doing that. We're going to go the traditional route. And when the time's right, we can build on the blockchain. Obviously, I was like, what are you talking about? Why not? I think he made the right decision. He convinced me. And so we went the traditional route. And because we have this rewards-based economy, these, I guess, like, so these jam points, what they are right now in the ecosystem. But I always wanted them to be a cryptocurrency because it creates this 360-degree economy for the artists and the fans to earn together. And so finally, after getting users, getting the artists, going through the pandemic, everything that we had kind of gone through, we just knew we needed like really good partners in cryptocurrency to continue on to do this like the right way. And we ended up finding Constellation Network, which they're absolutely incredible. We went through their incubator and it just worked out. And so now we're kind of like moving not just about music, but the entire creator economy. So sports, fashion, art, any unique comedy, any type of creator.
Mindset podcast, perhaps.
Yes, you guys need to be on it. You guys should have a creator access pool. That's what we call them, our different communities. But we're moving towards all types of communities. And I think that all these communities are going to act in like this decentralized way where they control their economies, they control their rewards, they have their own jam shop. And so it's very similar to what we're doing now, but it just actually is like this 360-degree economy where the points are worth something. And the jam token actually like can get artists to monetize, because during the pandemic, we got all these artists to simply do it out of the kindness of their heart because they wanted to connect with their fans. But we know that couldn't scale. Like, that's not going to continue. We got really lucky. Like, I was sending cold emails. We had good relationships to get, like, the Mariah Careys of the world on the platform, or Machine Gun Kelly. But at a certain point, like, these artists do need to make money. And there is a way for the fans to earn by promoting the artists' initiatives. And so now that we have the Jam token, we'll be launching the token on an exchange this month, and another product called our Jam Portal this month. And then we are going to have the Jam token actually working in the app by June this year. So it's just a fun time.
It's
My
an incredible
mom,
time.
when I tell my mom about cryptocurrencies, I think she gets mad at me because she can't wrap her head around it. The idea of it, Bitcoin, Ethereum, I'm not allowed to bring them up at the dinner table when I go and see them in Florida because it pisses them off. So, I mean, Sarah, I'm sure you're talking with people all the time. You know, you're talking, pitching GeoJam. How do you tell people who don't know what cryptocurrency or Web3, they're like, what is that? That does not make sense. How do you explain it to them in the most like simple way?
I say it's like social media essentially that gets you closer to influencers, because I feel like even those people are like, what's a creator? So probably an influencer, right? And it rewards you with digital currency. That's what it's doing. And I think it's just like social media that rewards you with digital currency for connecting with your favorite influencers. And I think our goal in general is to get the next 100 million people to own digital assets. And so there's so much room in the market, but we know that that's going to happen through a really clean user experience, something that is like has an easy on-ramp so that your parents can go on and in minutes they own a digital asset, and like it just seems super simple and natural. Like we want to be able to target anybody to come on, and they don't have to create like a MetaMask and do all these things to get into this economy. Like it's all about education and crypto literacy and getting people onboarded in a really easy way and quickly. And then we start educating them. Like we've already been educating people over the last year and a half on this rewards-based economy and a digital currency. It's not a cryptocurrency. It's called a jam point, but you can use that jam point to buy things in our shop. And so they already we've been educating them, and now moving towards this path was just an organic move for us.
I think it's funny when I think about even like the older generations trying to figure out cryptocurrency and the value. And I think about how much time they spend like clipping coupons to go to the grocery store, or like, you know, doing like surveys to earn like, 30 cents.
Up. It's like, 1, 2.
Which I get it, right? Like in their mind, which there's value in those activities and those pieces of crappy little tissue paper to save them money, right? And so as soon as we start to embed that education piece of, well, you can do at events or activities or promote something you like, music or creators or podcasts you're listening to or whatever it is, to then earn some sort of perceived value, that is essentially what you're going to be doing with digital assets and cryptocurrency. And I don't know, it just makes me laugh. Like they see the tangible value in those tiny pieces of paper that you bring to the store to exchange for 10 cents off a can of soup, but not anything that they can't touch and hold. So I'm glad you guys are doing something to get us there, because I think it's great.
I think that's like a really good point, Sam, because cryptocurrency feels like super financial, and because you can't touch it, that's where people are like, what's going on? That physical like sense and that sensation, which you don't have with cryptocurrency. And I think that's why NFTs are super interesting, is because you have this like work of art that's masked in this like non-fungible token. And so I think NFTs will be like that first digital asset that it's going to be the first thing in somebody's crypto wallet, because it has like some sense of ownership that maybe a coupon has, rather than like some token you can't see.
I love that. I think that's a good point. As soon as we start to make coupons that are NFTs built in, I think moms and dads across America are going to be jumping for joy.
Just have digital coupons, you know.
I think we may have just come up with our next idea that we're going to have to partner on.
Isn't that called like Groupon, dude? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, Groupon on the blockchain. There we go.
I love it. So, Sarah, I want to give you the opportunity. You're at South by right now. We've talked about entrepreneurship. We've talked about your incredible journey. We've talked about NFTs and crypto. Is there anything else that you're passionate about that you want to talk about? The last thing we talked about was pickleball. I'm obsessed with pickleball. That's my big thing right now. We can talk about that. Anything that you're super interested in right now?
I mean, I love music. That's like, I think that's obvious. I love music. I love concerts. So I'm really excited to be at South by. I forget who we're seeing tonight, but I know on Friday we're seeing Kygo, which I'm excited about.
So you've been there for a while. Who have you seen while you've been down there?
I saw Diplo.
Nice.
Who else did I see? I'm trying to remember. Oh my gosh, it's such a blur being here. I can't even. We've been here a week now. I'm trying to remember everybody we've seen. I know the most recent person was Diplo, because that was like 2 nights ago. I'm trying to think. Oh my gosh, I have
you
to like.
Kygo, you got Diplo.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I can't even at this point. I went to so many shows. I'm trying to remember. South by is this crazy place.
So as a founder, what's it like? You're just walking around, you're meeting people, you're going to different events. I saw you were on a panel or maybe a few panels. Yeah. Like, what's that like?
So it's really cool because it combines tech, music, film, and it's really awesome. You have like all of Austin is essentially taken over by just like different brands. Like you have the HBO house and you have the Peacock house and the Patreon house and all of these different, like all the bars are taken over by different brands and they have these activations. And then there's just like random musicians playing in there and you're just walking around and you just like walk into these different like experiences. Like this NFT project Doodles had the craziest thing. You like walked in, they gave you like noodles. You can get your nails done. You're like at Disneyland, like painting on walls. It's just a really unique, it's so interactive. I haven't seen anything like it. I've been to so many festivals and I think this one is just so cool.
So
that's why
Sarah, we're at the
trip.
point. Yeah, exactly. Extended the trip, rightly so. We're at the point on the podcast, 140 episodes in, where we've stopped hiding this from our full-time employer that Parker and I have. And they now, some of our bosses, listen and love the podcast, which is fantastic. So I'm going to give a quick request out there to our consulting bosses. If you guys are listening to this, Parker and I would be so glad to represent our firm at South by next year. We would do it for free. Just pay for us to get down there.
Do it
pay
for
for
free.
Our tickets.
Totally.
Give us a booth.
Seriously.
We'll speak and we'll take care of it for the whole firm. We'd be glad to take that one for the team. So if you guys are hearing this, we're in.
Just putting it out there in the world. We're manifesting it, Sam. We have to.
Exactly. I love it.
That sounds amazing.
All right, Sarah, we have 2 quick sections that we'll run through. I know you already know about one of them, but we have a rapid fire section. Got quick questions for you. So, you said you love music. What's your favorite genre and why?
Favorite genre is probably disco house because I just like to be groovy.
Ooh,
I love that.
Okay.
We stay groovy over here. Fantastic. Is there an artist that we love that Parker and I can learn about to get into disco house?
Purple Disco Machine.
Okay, I'm on it. I got a flight home. I'm going to be listening.
You'll love it. You'll
Sweet.
love it.
Okay, next question. What is a new hobby or thing you've learned in the past year or two during the pandemic?
I've learned how to train my dog, kind of. My whole team would say no, but my whole team would say I haven't. So this is going to be the best part. This is probably they're going to make fun of me for this but I am trying to learn to train my dog.
Amazing.
GeoJam team, we want videos of the trained or untrained puppy as proof. So feel free to tag Elevation Nation. We will be the judges of this training job that Sarah did.
Well, I was just going to say, I got to plug my brother's company in LA, OC Pup Scouts. They train puppies too, and they walk dogs. So if you know of OC Pup Scouts,
Please text me the name after. OC?
totally.
What did you say?
OC Pup Scouts.
Okay.
They're based in Orange County, but they're all over in SoCal.
Amazing.
All right,
Yes,
last rapid fire. What is one thing about you that people don't know but would surprise them if they found out?
Oh gosh, that's really hard. Surprise me. Okay. But they don't know. Let me think. Just give me a second. Oh, I don't sleep at all. So, at all, I really don't. Like last night I was up all night. I just can't sleep. That's actually I have really bad insomnia, but it's not like I'm just a night owl. That's really the big thing.
If you can make it work,
sleep. Yes.
I'm impressed. I'm trying to train my body to survive on less sleep, and every time I try to cut off 30 minutes.
How are you doing that?
Not well. Not well
You're
at all.
training your body?
I'm trying. It's not working.
I'm trying to train my body to sleep more.
I love it. Awesome. Well, Sarah, that was our rapid fire section, and now our favorite new segment of the pod. We started this a few months ago. It's called the Mental Motto segment. We keep realizing that we're having on these incredible guests, and they have some fantastic stories, and we wanted to start to collect just a phrase that you want to live by for this year so we can share with Elevation Nation. So, Sarah Figueroa, what is your mental motto?
Love the journey and never give up and always be bold.
Love the journey, never give up, and always be bold. I think 3 things that we talked about throughout this podcast and 3 things that you are doing currently in our eyes, and I think the rest of GeoJam in the world, the journey is just getting started for you. You are being bold as hell, extending your week in South by, hanging out with Parker and I when you could be at a concert, which we appreciate greatly, and it's fantastic. So I'm really excited to share that mental motto with Elevation Nation. It's so cool to see people of different diverse backgrounds share their mental motto with the world. I think as we read through them, Parker and I and Elevation Nation just gain a little tidbit of wisdom that we can add to our repertoire as we try to navigate life in our 20s. So on behalf of Parker, myself, Elevation Nation, we're going to link to GeoJam. We're going to link to you. Everybody needs to download the app and get active on it. It is one of the sickest apps I've seen in a long time, and Sarah and her team are doing an incredible job. So we really want to thank you for giving us a little bit of your free time. while you are out in South by. Go enjoy a concert tonight. And thank you for joining Elevation Nation. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Sam and Parker, and thanks to Elevation Nation for listening.
All right, Sammy.
That was great. Sarah, how do you feel? Is that good?
Amazing. You guys are so awesome.